Welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're going to be exploring plant guilds.
Plant guilds.
Yeah, like a botanical society,
That's a great way to think about it.
with each plant having its own unique role.
Right. And, you shared some really interesting research and articles with me.
Yep.
It's clear that these guilds are more than just visually appealing garden designs. They're actually self-sustaining ecosystems.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we jump into specifics,
Okay.
can you break down the concept of a plant guild for our listeners? I mean, it sounds like some sort of medieval society with blacksmiths and,
Yeah.
weavers and stuff.
Like a guild.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there are some parallels,
Right.
like in these medieval societies, there's this sense of interdependence and specialization within a guild.
Right,
But instead of, crafting swords or tapestries,
right.
these plant guilds are focused on creating a healthy and abundant ecosystem.
So each plant has its own trade or skill set that contributes to the success of the guild as a whole.
Exactly. We're talking about plants that act as nutrient miners.
Right.
Bringing up essential minerals from deep within the soil.
Mm-hmm.
Others act as pest control,
Okay.
warding off those unwanted invaders with their scents or by attracting beneficial predators.
Right.
And then we have our nitrogen fixers,
Oh,
which are like the alchemists of the soil.
the alchemists.
Yeah, converting atmospheric nitrogen into a form that plants can actually use.
So it's like we're putting together a team of botanical superheroes,
I love that.
each with its own unique superpower
Yeah,
to combat these Gardy challenges.
I like that analogy a lot. And just like a superhero team,
Right.
a successful plant guild relies on the synergy and cooperation of its members.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm picturing, this vibrant ecosystem buzzing with life.
Yeah,
The bees are pollinating.
right.
The beneficial insects are patrolling for pests.
Mm.
And the soil's just teeming with microbial activity.
Yeah,
It's very exciting.
it is.
But where do we even begin with something like this?
Well, the first step is to choose what we call the anchor plant.
Okay.
This is the star player
Right.
around which your guild will revolve.
Okay.
Often this is a fruit tree, or it could be a main crop that you want to support and you want to enhance.
So if I'm dreaming of, a bountiful apple harvest,
Yeah.
my anchor plant would be
An apple tree.
an apple tree. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
And then the fun begins.
the fun begins. We start thinking about
Yeah.
the specific needs and challenges of our anchor plant
Exactly.
and choose companion plants
Yep.
that can help address those needs.
That's it.
It's like we're putting together a puzzle,
Right.
finding the perfect pieces to create a complete and harmonious picture.
I like that. It's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And as we delve deeper into these roles of these different plants,
Okay.
I think you'll see just how intricate and fascinating this puzzle can be.
Okay. I'm ready to get puzzling then.
Okay.
So let's say we've got our apple tree as our anchor.
Okay.
What kind of challenges might we face?
Yeah.
Which plant heroes can come to the rescue?
Well, apple trees, as you may or may not know, are known to attract a lot of pests.
Oh.
Everything from coddling moths to aphids.
Oh, wow.
So they can also benefit from improved pollination
Right.
and soil fertility. So
Okay.
we want to assemble a team of companions
Oh,
that can address these issues.
so it's not just about planting things that look pretty together.
No, not at all.
That's about choosing plants that have specific functions within this guild.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Okay.
So, for example,
Yeah.
to deter those pesky coddling moths,
Okay.
we might plant nasturtiums nearby,
Okay.
and their strong scent
Okay.
can confuse the moths and disrupt their mating patterns.
So it's like olfactory camouflage
Yes.
for her apple tree.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly.
What about pollination? How do we ensure a bountiful apple harvest?
Well, attracting pollinators is key. And we can do this by planting a variety of flowering herbs and perennials
Right.
that bloom at different times
Okay.
so that we can ensure a continuous supply of nectar and pollen
Okay.
for our bees and other beneficial insects.
So it's like creating a botanical buffet for our pollinators,
Exactly.
enticing them to visit our apple tree and do their magic.
I love it.
Yeah.
Precisely.
And let's not forget about soil fertility.
Yes.
Apple trees are heavy feeders.
Right.
We need to make sure they have access to all the nutrients they need.
Absolutely.
So who are our soil enriching superheroes in this case?
Well, Comfrey is a fantastic choice.
Comfrey, okay.
It's what's called a dynamic accumulator,
Okay.
meaning that it has deep roots
Right.
that can actually reach down into the subsoil
Wow.
and pull up nutrients that other plants can't access.
So Comfrey's like mining
It's mining.
for these valuable minerals
Yeah.
and delivering them right to the apple tree's roots.
That's a great way to visualize it, yeah. And then when the comfrey leaves decompose,
Okay.
they release those nutrients back into the topsoil, further enriching the soil for the entire guild.
So it's not just a nutrient miner.
Yeah.
It's also a generous sharer,
Exactly.
enriching the soil for the
Yeah.
entire community.
Yeah.
It's incredible how these plants can work together in such a synergistic way.
It really is, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Wow.
As we explore further,
Okay.
I think you'll discover even more fascinating examples
Oh, yeah.
of these plant interdependencies and how they can contribute to the overall success of the guild.
I'm already hooked. This is so much more than just gardening.
Right.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
we're orchestrating a botanical symphony
I love it.
where each plant plays its own unique part
Yeah.
to create, this harmonious and thriving ecosystem.
That's beautiful. I love that.
So we've got our anchor plant,
Yep.
our pest deterrents, our pollinator attractors,
Right.
and our soil enrichers. What other key players might we want to consider adding to our apple tree guild?
Well, one really important thing to think about is the different layers
Oh,
within a guild, just like in a forest ecosystem.
you mean like having a canopy layer,
Yes.
an understory layer,
Exactly.
like a ground cover
You
layer?
got it.
Okay.
So by incorporating plants of different heights and growth habits,
Okay.
we can maximize space and resources and create this multi-level botanical community.
So our apple tree would naturally be like the canopy layer,
Yeah,
and then we could have smaller trees or shrubs in the understory,
right.
like nitrogen-fixing goomy berries,
Yes.
or maybe some pest-repelling elderberries.
Good example.
And then at the ground level,
Yeah.
we could have a mix of herbs,
Mhm.
flowers,
Yeah.
and ground covers,
Yes.
creating this living mulch that helps to suppress weeds and keep the soil nice and healthy.
That's a great example
Yeah.
of how we can use layering to create this thriving guild that really does mimic the structure and function of a natural ecosystem.
It's like we're building a plant high-rise
I love
with different residents on each floor,
Yes,
all contributing to the well-being of the building.
exactly. I love that analogy. And just like a well-designed building,
Yeah.
a well-designed guild is a self-sustaining system
Yeah.
where each element supports and enhances the others.
It's also fascinating. There's a lot more to plant guilds than meets the eye.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've only just begun to kind of explore
Right.
the intricacies of plant functions and the interactions within these guilds.
Hmm.
But I think you're starting to see the potential of this approach
Just go ahead.
and how it can lead to
Yeah.
healthier, more productive,
Right.
and more sustainable gardens.
Absolutely. I'm eager to start designing my own guild.
Yeah,
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
sure.
it's important to remember that this isn't just about copying these pre-designed guilds. It's about understanding the principles
Right.
and then getting creative
Exactly.
about their own plant selections.
That's a very important point because each garden is unique
Right.
with its own microclimate,
Yeah.
soil conditions,
Right.
and gardener preferences.
Exactly.
So it's really essential to adapt the
Right.
principles of these plant guilds
Right.
to your specific situation.
So it's about observation,
Yeah.
experimentation,
Mm-hmm.
and learning from both our successes
Yes.
and our failures.
Precisely. And that's what makes gardening so rewarding.
Absolutely.
It's a constant journey of discovery.
Yeah.
And these plant guilds offer a fascinating path to explore.
Well, I'm definitely inspired to embark on this journey.
Great.
But before we get our hands dirty,
Okay.
I think we should dig a little deeper
Yeah.
into the specific roles
Right.
that different plants can play in a guild.
That's a great idea.
So, in our next installment,
Okay.
we'll be exploring all the different types of plant players
Yep.
that we can recruit for our guilds.
Right.
From nutrient miners and nitrogen fixers
Mm-hmm.
to pest deterrents and pollinator
I
attractors.
can't wait.
It's going to be an exciting deep dive
It is.
into the fascinating world of plant functions and interactions.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll uncover all the secrets of how these plants work together
Yeah.
to create that harmonious and productive ecosystem.
Right. In our own backyards.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
Hey.
We're continuing our exploration of plant guilds
Yes.
and really diving deep into the specific roles different plants can play.
Yeah, last time we talked about choosing the right anchor plant
Right.
and, assembling our dream team
Yes.
companion plants.
Exactly.
Now I'm really excited to learn more about these plant players
Yeah.
and how their unique skills contribute to the overall success
Absolutely.
of the guild.
It's like understanding the different positions on a
Right.
sports team. Each player has their specific role
Right.
and a set of skills
Right.
that contribute to the overall game plan.
Yeah. Okay, I'm game.
Mm.
So who are the key players in this plant guild lineup?
Well, let's start with what we call the dynamic accumulators.
Okay, dynamic accumulators.
These are plants with really deep roots
Okay.
that can reach down into the subsoil,
Oh, wow.
and they can pull up nutrients that other plants can't access.
So they're like the mining crew,
Yes,
bringing up those valuable resources from the depths.
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
A classic example is comfrey.
Comfrey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Its roots can actually extend several feet deep,
Wow.
tapping into this reservoir of nutrients like
Oh.
potassium,
Oh.
phosphorus, and calcium.
So comfrey is not only bringing up these nutrients,
Right.
but it's also making them available to shallower rooted plants in the guild.
That is exactly right.
Wow.
When comfrey leaves die back or are cut back,
Okay.
they decompose
Okay.
and they release those nutrients into the topsoil. Okay.
And they enrich it for the entire guild.
So it's like comfrey is sharing its bounty with the whole team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is a very giving plant.
That's amazing. What other types of players do we have?
Okay, so next up are the nitrogen fixers.
Okay, nitrogen fixers.
These are plants, mostly legumes,
Okay.
that have this symbiotic relationship with bacteria in their roots.
Wait, so these plants have tiny helpers living in their roots.
Exactly.
Oh.
And these bacteria have this amazing ability to convert atmospheric nitrogen
Right.
into a form that plants can use.
So it's essentially fertilizing the soil naturally.
You got it.
That's incredible. It's like having a built-in fertilizer factory right in the guild.
Precisely.
Wow.
It's a game changer for the entire guild
Right.
because nitrogen is essential for plant growth.
Right.
So having these nitrogen fixers in the mix means less reliance on synthetic fertilizers,
Right.
which can be harmful to the environment.
So it's a win-win for the plants and the planet.
Yeah. Who are some of our top nitrogen fixing recruits?
Well, we've got beans,
Okay.
peas,
Okay.
clover, and alfalfa are all excellent nitrogen fixers,
Okay.
and they can be integrated into a guild in so many different ways,
Right.
whether it's a main crop or a cover crop,
Okay.
or even just sprinkled in amongst other plants.
I'm starting to see how these different plant roles can work together now.
Yeah.
We've got the dynamic accumulators bringing up nutrients from the depths,
Mm,
and the nitrogen fixers enriching the soil from above.
right.
It's like this perfectly synchronized nutrient delivery system.
It is. It's really quite amazing.
That's amazing. And it doesn't stop there.
It doesn't stop there. We also have what are called ground covers,
Okay, ground coverage.
which are like the defensive specialists
Okay, I'm all ears.
of the guild.
How do ground covers contribute to the team's success?
So think of them as a living mulch.
Okay,
They spread out horizontally,
right.
covering the soil,
Okay.
and they protect it from erosion,
Mm-hmm.
weed growth.
Right. And moisture loss.
So they're not just pretty faces, they're playing this vital role
No, they're not. They
Yeah.
are essential.
in maintaining the health of the whole guild.
Absolutely. They also help to moderate soil temperatures.
Wow.
They help to suppress weed growth,
Okay.
and they even attract beneficial insects.
So it's like having this multi-talented player
Exactly.
that can contribute on both offense and defense.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah. Give me some examples of these all-star ground covers.
Okay. Well, clover,
Clover.
which we already mentioned as a nitrogen fixer,
Right.
is also a fantastic ground cover.
Okay.
It spreads really quickly,
Okay.
forms this dense mat
Right.
that smothers weeds
Yeah.
and keeps the soil nice and cool and moist.
And it looks so charming with those little white flowers.
It does. It's very pretty.
Yeah.
Another great option is thyme,
Thyme. Okay.
which has the added benefit of being aromatic
Right.
and attracting pollinators.
Oh, nice.
And plus, you can use it in your cooking.
Now we're talking. A guild that's both beautiful and delicious.
Exactly.
What other types of players do we have?
All right. Well, we can't forget about the structural aids.
Okay, structural aids.
These are plants that provide physical support
Okay.
for other plants,
Okay.
like climbers or vines.
Oh, I see. So these are like the team's coaches or mentors,
Yeah, I like that.
providing guidance and support to the younger players.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. So,
Yeah.
for example, sunflowers
Yeah.
can act as natural trellises
Okay.
for beans to climb.
Okay.
the safe space
Right.
and allows the beans to access more sunlight.
So it's like a botanical buddy system.
It is.
I love that.
Corn can also play this role
Okay.
in the classic Three Sisters planting method.
Right. The Three Sisters.
Yeah, so the corn stalks provide the support for the beans to climb.
Right.
The beans fix nitrogen,
Right.
and the squash acts as a ground cover.
It's a perfect example of how different plant roles can work together to create that thriving ecosystem.
Absolutely.
I'm loving how this is all coming together.
Yeah.
You know, like we're building this self-sufficient plant community
Right.
where each member is contributing its own unique skills
Yeah.
and supporting the others.
And the beauty of it is that there are so many different combinations and possibilities.
Right.
You can tailor your guild to your specific needs and preferences.
Absolutely.
Whether you're focused on food production or attracting pollinators
Right.
or simply creating, a beautiful and resilient garden.
So it's not just about copying those pre-designed guilds.
Right.
It's about understanding the principles
Exactly.
and then getting creative with our own plant selection.
Exactly. And the more we learn about the different roles
Right.
that these plants can play,
Yeah.
the more effectively we can design guilds that truly thrive.
Yeah.
It's all about harnessing the power of nature's teamwork
Yeah.
to create, a more sustainable and abundant world.
Absolutely. Speaking of teamwork,
Yeah.
we haven't even touched upon,
Right.
the fascinating world of plant communication
Yes. That's a great point.
and the intricate ways they can interact with each other.
Yeah, it's like they have their own secret language,
But it's-
whispering messages
Yeah.
through their roots
Right.
and even through the air.
That's a great point. And that's a topic
It is.
that deserves its own deep dive.
It does.
But we're just beginning to understand,
We are.
the
The complexities.
complexity
Oh,
of
my
this plant
thinking.
communication.
Absolutely. But what we are learning is absolutely mind-blowing.
I'm already intrigued.
Yeah.
So what are some of the ways that plants communicate with each other?
Well, one way is through chemical signaling.
Okay.
So plants release chemicals into the soil
Okay.
and into the air that can
Yeah.
be detected by other plants.
Okay.
And these messages
Yeah.
convey all sorts of information.
Okay. Like what?
So it could be warnings about pests and diseases
Okay.
or signals about resource availability.
So it's like they're sending out SOS signals
Yes.
or sharing intel about the best spots to find nutrients.
You got it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And it goes beyond just plant-to-plant communication, right?
It does. They can also communicate with beneficial microbes in the soil,
Okay.
such as mycorrhizal fungi.
Mycorrhizal fungi. That sounds like something out of a science fiction novel.
They are pretty remarkable.
Okay.
These fungi form a network
Okay.
of these interconnected threads
Okay.
that can extend for miles,
Wow.
connecting plants in this vast underground web.
Wait, so plants are literally connected underground through these fun little networks.
They are.
That's incredible.
It is really amazing.
It's like having an underground internet for plants.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And this network allows plants to share resources,
Yeah.
to warn each other about dangers,
Okay.
and even to support each other's growth.
This is incredible. It's like we're discovering this whole new world
It is.
of communication and cooperation
It is.
happening right beneath our feet.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
It is. And the more we learn about these intricate interactions,
Yeah.
the more we realize how interconnected
Yes.
And-
Interdependent.
and interdependent
Yes.
everything is in nature.
Right.
It's a humbling reminder that we're not just separate individuals.
Mhm.
We're part of this vast and complex web of life.
We are all connected.
So how does this understanding of plant communication
Yeah.
inform our approach
Right.
to designing these plant guilds?
Well, it highlights the importance of diversity.
Okay.
The more diverse our plant communities are, the
Yeah.
more complex and resilient
Okay.
these communication networks become.
I see. So it's like having a diverse team of experts,
Exactly.
each with their own unique knowledge and skills
Yeah,
that can communicate and collaborate to solve problems more effectively.
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it also emphasizes the need to work with nature
Right.
rather than against it. By understanding these principles of plant communication and cooperation,
Yeah.
we can create gardens and farms that are truly sustainable
Yeah.
and in harmony with the natural world.
This has been an absolutely mind-expanding exploration
He has.
of plant functions and interactions within these guilds.
Yes.
From the dynamic accumulators and nitrogen fixers to the ground covers and structural aids.
Yeah,
We've seen how each plant plays this vital role in the success of the whole.
absolutely. And we've only just begun to scratch the surface
Yeah.
of this fascinating world of plant communication. As we delve deeper
Yeah.
into these intricate relationships.
Right.
We unlock this treasure trove of knowledge that can help us create more resilient, productive, and ecologically harmonious gardens and farms.
It's amazing to think that we can learn so much from observing and understanding the natural world.
It is. Nature is our greatest teacher.
It really is.
And by tapping into its wisdom, we can create gardens and landscapes that are not only beautiful and productive, but also contribute to the health and well-being of the entire planet.
This deep dive has been so insightful.
Good.
I'm feeling incredibly inspired to start applying these principles to my own garden.
That's what it's all about,
Yeah.
empowering people to connect with nature, learn from its wisdom, and create a more sustainable and abundant world for all.
So as we wrap up part 2 of our deep dive into plant guilds,
Okay.
I'm curious to explore the broader implications of what we've learned.
I think that's a great idea. In our next installment, we're going to step back from the garden bed
Yeah.
and consider how these principles of plant guilds can inspire us to live more sustainably and harmoniously,
Okay.
not just in our personal lives, but as a society as a whole.
Welcome back to this deep dive into plant guilds. We've uncovered some pretty amazing collaborations happening right beneath our feet.
Right. It's fascinating how different plants have these specific roles they play, all contributing to the health and resilience of the guild as a whole.
And we even touched upon those mind-boggling ways that plants can actually communicate and support each other.
Yeah, and as promised,
Yeah.
I think it's time to sort of zoom out
Okay.
and consider,
Yeah.
what these plant societies can teach us about building a more sustainable and harmonious world, not just, in our gardens, but in our lives as a whole.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really quite remarkable how these plant collaborations
Yeah.
offer valuable insights into,
Yeah.
creating resilient systems, fostering diversity,
Right.
and embracing interdependence.
That idea of interdependence really struck me.
Yeah,
In a guild, every plant kind of relies on its neighbors for support.
it does.
Nutrients, protection,
Absolutely.
they're all in it together.
They're all in this
It's a powerful reminder that, in nature
Yeah.
and in human societies,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're all interconnected.
We are.
Our well-being is inextricably linked. It's
That is.
to the well-being of others and the health of our planet.
Exactly. So just as a guild thrives when all of its members are flourishing,
Right.
our communities and even our businesses
Yeah.
function best when we prioritize collaboration and shared responsibility.
I love that. So imagine, a business
Yeah.
operating on these principles of a plant guild.
Okay. Yeah.
Instead of that, cutthroat competition,
Right.
we'd see departments supporting each other,
Right.
sharing resources,
Yeah.
and working towards this common goal.
It's like shifting from this me versus them mentality to a we're all in this together approach.
Yeah, and let's not forget the importance of diversity.
Yes,
That's a cornerstone of any successful plant guild,
it is.
just as a monoculture of plants is vulnerable to pests and disease.
Right.
A lack of diversity in our communities and workplaces
Yes.
can stifle creativity and resilience.
Exactly.
So we're talking about embracing different perspectives, valuing diverse talents and experiences,
Absolutely.
and recognizing that, a richer tapestry of voices
Yeah.
leads to stronger, more innovative solutions.
Absolutely. And just as a gardener carefully selects and nurtures the plants in their guild,
Right.
we can be more intentional about cultivating relationships
Yeah.
that support our growth and contribute to a more harmonious community.
That brings up an interesting point. We often talk about building community,
We do.
but what if we approach it like designing a plant guild?
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Think about it. We could identify the anchor members of our community,
Okay. Yeah.
the people or organizations that provide that stability and support,
Right.
and then we could surround them with individuals
Right.
who bring, different skills, passions, and perspectives to the table.
We could even think about the layers of our community,
Yes.
ensuring that everyone has a space to thrive.
Yeah.
Whether it's seniors, youth, artists, entrepreneurs,
Right.
everyone kind of playing a vital role.
Exactly. It's about creating an ecosystem
Yeah.
where everyone feels valued.
Right.
Their contributions are recognized,
Yeah.
and where they can draw support from others.
I love this idea of applying those plant guild principles to community building.
Yeah.
But I'm also wondering, if these lessons can scale up even further,
Yeah.
can we use these insights to tackle some of those bigger challenges facing our world?
I think it's certainly worth considering. If
Yeah.
we look at, issues like climate change,
Right.
food insecurity,
Yeah.
or social inequity through the lens of plant guilds,
Right.
what new solutions might emerge?
Well, the emphasis on diversity in plant guilds
Yeah,
could inspire us to seek more inclusive and equitable solutions to social problems.
Absolutely.
The way that guilds can regenerate soil and promote biodiversity
yes.
could offer models for sustainable agriculture and land management.
Right, and that interconnectedness that we see in those guilds
Yeah.
highlights the need for collaborative approaches to global challenges.
Right.
No single nation or community can solve these issues in isolation.
Yeah.
We need to work together, recognizing our shared responsibility for the planet and for future generations.
This has been an incredible journey. We started by exploring those fascinating plant guilds,
We did.
and we ended up contemplating their potential to inspire a more sustainable and harmonious way of life
I know, isn't it amazing?
on a global scale.
It really speaks to the power of nature to teach us, to inspire us, and to guide us towards a future
Yeah.
where we can thrive in balance with the planet and with each other.
So to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring those wonders of the natural world.
Yes.
Observe those plant communities around you.
Yeah.
Experiment with creating your own guilds.
Yeah.
And most importantly, let those lessons of these botanical collaborations inspire you to cultivate more harmony and resilience in your own lives and in the world around you.
As we learn from that humble wisdom of plants, perhaps we can begin to sow the seeds for a brighter and more sustainable future for all. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep exploring the wonders of the natural world.